Hello world, it's your brother Silent Sound tapping in with you, and we're back with another episode of the Silent Conversations podcast. As always, this episode is sponsored by The Silent Store. Yes, thesilentstore.com, where you can get my new ebook, The 3 Ps, The Keys to Having Better Days. It breaks down the mindset of peace, positivity, and perspective, and how you can use those 3 words to help anchor you in your day so that you can master your day, which ultimately helps you master your life. So tap in. You can find that book at The Silent Store. That's thesilentstore.com. The link will be in the bio. As always, we appreciate you all supporting and stopping back through for some more insight, inspiration, tips, advice, whatever you may call it, that's going to help you continue and start down your journey of personal growth and self-development. So let's dive right back into it with some more great information. So today, what we want to speak about today is about finding purpose in what you're doing, and how that is so pivotal in being able to continue forward, to be able to press past adversity, get past challenges, push past your limitations so that you can reach that goal. When we think about purpose, what we're thinking about is why we're doing what we're doing. When everything that we see in existence has a purpose. There's a purpose to a light in the room. There's a purpose to a microphone. There's a purpose to a camera, because you know why you need that tool in order to achieve whatever result that you're looking for. That same thing goes for you in the actions that you're taking, as well as the goals that you're setting to be able to reach that next level or that best version of yourself that you're striving to become. So we have to find purpose in what we're doing, and we definitely want to find purpose in ourselves, because that's what's going to give us that internal push or that internal drive to keep going forward. For me, my purpose, one of my purposes is to continue to grow and inspire others to start and grow for themselves as well. So with that being said, I have to then take accountability and take account of what I'm doing every day, looking at my actions, looking at my responses and reactions to things, and really calibrating those to understand, is it aligned with my purpose? Is it aligned with my goals? Do my actions align with what I'm actually trying to achieve? And if not, then I need to make some necessary adjustments, because if my purpose is to inspire others to start or continue to grow, then I have to make sure that my actions, my reactions, my responses, the way to my conduct, my goals, the things that I'm striving for, the limitations that I'm pushing through, all have to align with that purpose, so it's a clear message. A lot of times we put the cart before the horse, in the sense that our purpose may be one thing. Our purpose may be to inspire others, but our actions are really selfish or motivated by self, or for a benefit that's only for self, which then allows the message to be confused or unclear to those who may be observing. The people that you're aiming to inspire may not be inspired because your intentions are not aligned with your purpose. The actions that you put forth are not aligned with your intentions. All of these things are connected. So finding purpose in what you're doing helps make that vision that much clearer. When we think about growth, we know that this can happen whether we're trying to make it happen or we're not trying to make it happen. Growth is happening whether it's positive or negative. So when we think about our purpose, when we think about why we're doing what we're doing, why we're setting these goals, why we're taking these actions, we want to make sure they're in the positive direction of growth and not in a negative direction of growth. We know that a positive direction of growth is progress. That's when you're able to move forward, see new results, push past limitations, and see new unknowns that you may not have been aware of, that you're even capable of doing. Another thing to think about as well is a negative growth would be decay. When we're not contributing to our growth, we're contributing to our detriment. So when we're not being consistent with our goals, when we're not getting up and doing what we say we're going to do every day to build that routine for success, we're contributing to our decay. We're confirming or reaffirming the actions and the habits that we have now, we're solidifying that as who we want to be, and not pushing past those limitations, not making excuses for why we're not acting. At that point, we're becoming exactly what we already are, and not striving to become more than what we know we can be. So that's where purpose comes along. The purpose of this podcast is to help inspire others to start and continue down their journey. So that means every episode, every clip that I take from this podcast has a meaning behind it and an intention behind it, that is to help inspire others to start and continue down their journey of growth. Now, when we want to analyze where we stand, how far off or how close are we to our purpose, we have to take that self-analysis and say, okay, let's look over the last week or the last month and see what actions have I taken, what things worked, what things did not work, what can I do better at, what do I need to work on, what did I not consider that I need to consider now in order to get to that next level. When we do that self-analysis, when we take self-inventory of our emotions, of the way that we think, our thoughts, and we start taking intentional action to kind of curve those thoughts into the right direction, it becomes easier to see progress. It becomes easier to hit your goals. It becomes easier to see the vision that you're setting out for yourself to achieve. A lot of times things can get very cloudy or unclear when we have distractions. And it's easier to be distracted when you don't have a true purpose behind what you're doing. If you just get into your car and just start it up and just drive, no GPS, no destination in mind, you just drive, where do you think you're going to go? Well, the reality of it is there's all types of places that you may end up. But if you don't actually have a destination in mind, if you don't have a purpose behind why you're getting in that car and why you're starting it up and why you're leaving, then you're really just leaving the destination up to fate to a degree. You're just saying, well, when the elements and when I run out of gas or if I get tired enough, I'll just stop. But what are you really achieving? Now, if your purpose was to just to get away, if your purpose was just to take some time out for yourself, be able to enjoy a car ride and be able to come back in, okay, well then a goal achieved. You hit the target. But if your goal was to go to the grocery store, but you didn't actually set the intentions for that. You didn't put the destination in your GPS. You didn't even follow the traffic rules. You didn't attend you didn't pay attention to the road map. You didn't pay attention to the direction in which you were going. You just was just driving aimlessly. Do you think you're going to make it to that grocery store? Now, the reality may be that you may make it to the grocery store, but will you make it efficiently? Were you taking the most effective route to get to your destination? Where the other side of that is, if you have purpose behind what you're doing, if you set out an intention to say, when I get into this car, I'm going to the grocery store. Here's my grocery list. This is what I'm going to buy. This is how much I want to spend. You'll get to the grocery store. You'll get the things that you set out to get. You'll stay under your budget, and you'll make it back home. You'll be able to do that efficiently and effectively. But the same thing with our goals. If we're just waking up every day, just hoping that progress is going to fall in our lap, if we're just waking up, just hoping that goals are going to be reached, we're going to find new skill sets, we're going to find this new internal motivation that's going to help us push past our excuses, help us double down on our abilities. If we think that that's going to happen, we're going to be thinking for a long time. We're going to be waiting for a long time. Scriptures bring out that faith without works is dead. So if you're not willing to put in work for what you're asking for, what you're aiming for, then your results may vary. You may see some progress, you may see some success, but if you want to really realize what it is that you're seeing in your mind, what you really feel in your heart, what you really want out of life, it's going to take work, but it's going to also take purpose and intention behind what it is that you're doing, the actions that you're taking in order to reach that level that you're striving to reach. We have to take that time out. We have to be able to take that time out and really think about what it is that we really want. because a lot of things may seem appealing. One of the biggest lessons that I'm learning from my daughter is that a lot of times your eyes can be very persuasive in the things that we may desire out of life. Just because we see it, we automatically want it. One thing that I'm working on with her is understand that what we're feeling in that time, when we look and see somebody else has something that we feel that we don't have or that we want, we're feeling a bit of jealousy. We have some envy that's birthing inside of us that we want to make sure we nip in the bud early. We don't want to be looking at other people and being jealous or envious of what they have, but we're not willing to put in the same amount of work, if not more work than they're putting in to achieve these goals or to acquire these things. Are we willing to sacrifice the comforts that we're in now to get uncomfortable to actually acquire the things that we want? That's where purpose comes in. If you have a purpose behind what you're doing, you're willing to sacrifice. You're willing to push past the comfort zones. You're willing to push past your limitations because, I have a goal that I'm trying to reach. I got a destination that I'm trying to get to. And I'm not going to let any distraction, temptation, past habits, past patterns can keep me in the same place. I'm going to move forward. Good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to move forward. I don't care about the fear that comes up. I don't care about the adversity that comes up. I've been dealing with these fears and adversities before I was striving to be better. But now that I'm striving to be better, I'm going to push past these limitations because I can no longer be content with this life that I have now. Always wanting, always desiring, but not actually getting, not actually acquiring. But it's hard to figure out what you want if you don't actually know what you want. If you don't have a purpose behind what you're asking for. If you don't actually feel that what you're looking for is deserving of even being acquired, are you really going to push past the limitation? Are you going to push past the fears? Are you going to get uncomfortable in order to reach those goals? To acquire those skill sets that you need in order to attain those goals? Are you going to do it? What is the purpose behind you having that vision? What is the purpose of you setting that goal? What is the purpose of you having these associates and taking these actions and making these investments and setting these budgets? What is the purpose behind it? These things come into question when your actions don't align with what your purpose is. What the words that you're stating don't align with the actions. There creates confusion. There's a disconnection. So we want to make sure that we're taking steps to be able to really realize that purpose that we set out and be very clear on what that purpose is. We can't be vague about the things that we want. If we really want to hit a target, we have to focus in on the bullseye. We can't just be saying, well, I just want to at least get the dart on the board. No, we want to hit the target. We want to hit the middle of the target. We're aiming for the center of the target so that if things come about, if elements and environments adjust or change, we may go outside of the target, but at least we got close. We want to hit the goal. That's our striving point. We want to hit the goal, but we're not just settling for average. We're not just settling for just enough. We want to be our best. We want to serve at our highest level. We want to observe things at the highest level. Our purpose has to fulfill a need at a highest level so that we can push past these low level or surface level feelings, emotions, and thoughts. We want to get to a higher level. We want to get deeper into our journey. We want to get deeper into ourselves so that we can pull up or muster up that motivation to keep going. The world is going to throw missiles at you every day. Whether you like it or not, whether you're doing all the right things or you're not, you're still going to be faced with adversity. You're still going to be faced with sacrifice. You're still going to have to find and make time to do what needs to be done. Are you going to quit? Are you going to give up? Are you going to settle for less than? Are you going to bow in the face of fear? Or are you going to stand up? Are you going to push through? Are you going to keep going? Are you going to stay consistent? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves when we're having that silent conversation with ourselves before we take that action that we know we should take. but we're hesitant because it's going to make us uncomfortable. It's hesitant because we don't know what people are going to think about us. We're hesitant because we're not sure what was going to happen after we take this action. But one thing that we know, if we don't take this action, we'll never know what's going to be on the other side of it. We'll always be in the same place that we've always been. If we continue to allow our mind to fall victim to the temptations and distractions and the limitations of the world, then we'll always be in the same position that we're in. We'll always be stagnant. We'll always be average. We'll always settle. Now, when we think about ourselves and we think about self-love and self-development, personal growth, if we're willing to settle for average with ourselves, if we're not willing to push ourselves to be great, how can we expect others to do great things for us? How can we expect others to be great if we're not even willing to push past the first adversity, the second adversity, the second challenge, the third challenge? If we're not willing to push past that, how can we have an expectation for others to push past those limitations that they have in front of them? It may look impossible to them until they see you do it. What if you are the catalyst to their change? What if you are the reason that they're keeping going? What if you are their purpose for now? What if they're looking at you as the example? Are you going to let them down by shrinking to fear, by bowing down to being uncomfortable, challenge, limitation? Or are we going to find purpose in what we're doing and push past that so that we can inspire others to push past the test that they have? Use our story to help other people continue down their journey of self-development. We are all going through things not just for ourselves. We're going through things for other people. Everything that we do is not just for us. 99.9% of the things that we do is for somebody else. We put on nice clothes, we smell good, we look good. We think we're doing it for ourselves, but we're actually doing it for others. How much happier do we make the person that we're going to meet when we present ourselves in the best form? How more inspired will the next person be when we show up with the best presentation of ourselves and they can see that as an example and be able to learn from that? How much more of an example can we be for someone else when we look at the actions that we're taking and saying, if I take the right actions, I might lead the next person to be able to take the right actions as well. Every time that we take steps toward our growth, it's like we're leaving crumbs along our journey. So that the next person behind us that we don't even know is watching can pick up those things and follow down that trail until they get sure enough in their own journey to then take off down the direction that they want to go. So our actions are just stepping stones for the next person to go down until they figure out where they want to go. Sometimes you have to follow down a beaten path until you really figure out what's your destination, what's your purpose behind going down this route. Then you may veer off that beaten path and carve your own out. There's nothing wrong with carving your own path out in life. You don't want to be a follower all your life, but the best leaders have to be a follower. The best teachers have to be a student first. You got to be willing to serve before you can master. So, yeah, you may need to look at the examples of others. You may need to learn from others. You may need to take mentorship or coaching from others so that you can clear or get clarity in your vision, your purpose, your journey, and then you can step out on faith and walk down your path. Because then you'll be the new beacon of light for the next person to come down and follow you until they figure out where they are going to go. Each one teach one, we all can reach one. We reiterate this all the time because community is the basis of us being able to grow as a full family. Everyone working towards the goal of becoming better. Everybody working on themselves to be a better service to others. That's how we create a community of growth. That's what the Silent Mind Network is for. The Silent Conversations podcast is to inspire those thoughts in your mind, to help you think about yourself and say, what can I work on so that I can be a better example for somebody else? How much time are you taking to look at yourself and say, what can I work on to be of a better service to others? How can I work on my communication? How can I work on my reactions? How can I work on controlling my emotions? How can I work on my relationship with my parents? How can I work on my relationship with my significant other? How can I work on my relationship with my children? How can I work on my relationship with my business, my associates, my co-workers? All of these things are forever to be worked on. There's never a end destination. You can always refine your approach. You can always work on your communication skills. You can always develop your mindset. You can always work on your actions. But the question is, if you don't have a purpose behind what you're doing, are you going to find those opportunities for growth? Because a lot of times when you get content, you don't look for ways to get uncomfortable after you've found a way to get comfortable again. When you're in the wintertime and it's warm in your house and you go outside, it's cold, your goal is to get warm again. You want to get secure with a blanket. So what do? You go in your car, you cut your heat on, you turn it up on high, you run back in the house where it's warm. And then you don't go back to your car until you feel like it's warmed up because you don't want to get uncomfortable again. You know it's uncomfortable in the cold. But that's just how self-development is as well. It gets very uncomfortable when you're growing. Sometimes you're by yourself. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's cold. Sometimes it's dark. Sometimes you can't see which way is up. You don't know which way you're going. You're not sure if this is even making sense. Is this even providing results? Are they even paying attention to what I'm doing? You have a business, you selling things. How many customers coming in? Is this even worth it? These are the questions that you may ask yourself. But if you have purpose in what you're doing, you're going to ask these questions and you're going to find the answers. Yeah, they are listening. I just need to do more. It's all about building that trust. That's where that consistency comes in. And a lot of times we have to build the trust within ourselves. See, if we're not sure of what our purpose is, it's hard to trust the actions that we're taking. Because we begin to second guess everything we're doing. Is this really going to help me? Is this really beneficial? Or every new idea that pops up, oh, I want to try that out. Let me try this. Let me try that, because you don't have a purpose behind what you're doing, which is okay. You got to start somewhere. So you do need to try this, try that. You have to go around and try to sample a pack until you figure out what this works for me. Then you double down. You found your purpose. Now is where you start really putting your intentions toward that goal of fulfilling that purpose. This isn't an overnight process. You don't figure out your process overnight, your purpose overnight. And you definitely don't figure out your process overnight. It takes time to develop a process of growth, because you have to figure out what you need to work on. You got to figure out where you're going. You got to figure out what are you going to do in order to achieve that. You got to figure out what are you going to stop doing to achieve that. You know, who's going to help you along that path? Who's not helping you along that path so you can make the right adjustments? But without that why, without that reason why, without that purpose, it becomes very hard to distinguish what's good and what's bad for your growth. That end goal is so important. You work with the end goal in mind at all times. You know what the vision is, so you take steps to manifest that reality. So you have to take that time out for yourself and really figure out, what is my purpose? Why am I setting these goals? Why am I taking these actions? Why am I feeling these feelings? Why do I need to work on these things? Why are these things important to my growth? How am I going to be consistent at these things so I can get to where I want to go? How is my purpose serving others? How is the best version of myself of better need to other people than for myself? These are questions that we should be asking ourselves. Purpose. Why? We want to get down to the deeper sources of things. We have to ask why. When I'm recording these podcast episodes, I'm doing this because I want to provide consistent self-development, insight, inspiration, and tips for those who are working towards or starting towards their goals of self-development and becoming the best version of themselves. That's why I'm doing it. Why do you get up early to be able to record? Why are you up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to record episodes for your podcast? because I know if I don't do it early, I won't do it in the evening. There's a purpose behind it. If I get this stuff done in the morning, it makes it easier for me to get through the day when the temptations and the distractions creep in, when the fear settles in, when you get comfortable. After you're tired, you don't work all day. Now you're ready to get comfortable. You've gotten all the hard work done. That's the point of working out early in the morning. That's the part of doing the meditation and getting your morning routine and getting everything that you need done first. Then you can take a break. Then you can sit back and reflect. Then you can recalibrate. Then you can reconcile. But if you're finding excuses, if you're looking for reasons to take breaks before you get the job done, all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure. All you're doing is stunning your own growth. You're not hurting anybody but yourself. And ultimately, I guess you are hurting other people because you're not providing them with the best representation of who they are striving to become or be inspired by, so that they can pick up their problems, pick up their issues and their purpose and be able to fulfill them. So we have to look at that. We have to be able to really take those things in consideration and realize that this is not just about us. Life is not just about us. It's not a one-way street. It's a two-way. What you put in, you get out. What you give out is what you get back. So if we're putting out average, we're settling, we're putting complacency out in the universe, we can't get upset when we're getting the same or those type of results from being complacent and stagnant and not giving our best and being average. When we get average results, when we get below average results from our below average actions, we can't get upset. Expectations leads to disappointments. That's typically why I believe in building a standard, setting a standard for yourself. You don't have to expect anything. If you set a standard that this is when I'm going to get up, these are the things I want to do when I wake up, these are the things that I'm going to accomplish every day, that's your standard. You don't have to expect anything. Things are going to happen that may throw you off guard. It may catch you off guard. It may derail you off your path. But if you have a standard, you'll know how to get back. You'll know how to get back on that horse again. You realize that these things are only temporary. These distractions and temptations and things that may be stunning my growth at the moment are just temporary. I'm going to learn from these opportunities and I'm going to grow and I'm going to get back to the standard. But you got to set a standard for your life. You got to set a standard for your growth. But it all starts with a purpose. If you know why you're doing something, it's easier to set a standard so that you know that I have to meet this level in order to be in line with my goals or with my purpose. These are the things that I do for my purpose to be manifest every day. For me to get closer to that realization of my vision, these are the things that I do. This is the routine that I have. These are the patterns that I have. These are the movements that I make, the actions that I take in order to reach this realization. Self-development is an ongoing journey. Self-development doesn't stop until you stop. The moment you stop growing is when you stop growing. But until then, try to figure out ways to think, reason, and learn so that you can grow. Everything that we do is either contributing to our growth or contributing to our decay. We all have limitless potential. But it's up to you to decide to either put a cap on your potential or to manifest and push through and manifest that potential into reality. Everything is stored energy. But until we put it into motion, then it means nothing. We all have the potential to be great, but if we're not taking the steps and making the sacrifices to be great, then we'll always potentially be great. But what can we do with potential? Nothing. You can potentially win a race, but if you never start the race, you will not win the race. You may potentially be able to lift up this heavy weight, but if you never take the steps to train yourself to be able to do it, you'll never pick up that weight. You may potentially inspire millions of people to do great things, but if you don't actually start doing great things, you'll never inspire anyone. So purpose. Find your purpose. Understand and lock in on why you're doing what you're doing, why you're setting your goals, why you're setting your intentions, why you have set a standard that is for growth and not for decay. Why you're focused on results, why you're focused on your process and trusting your process and doing the right things. Lock in on your purpose. Because the moment that your purpose aligns with your actions, which aligns with your reactions, which aligns with your emotional ability to be able to handle, you're capable of handling your emotions. Once you're able to get past these things, you'll realize that your goals are that much closer and that much easier to attain. To attain. So, as always, this is your brother Silent Sound. This has been another episode of the Silent Conversations podcast. We talked about purpose today and locking in on your why. As always, these episodes are sponsored by the Silent Store. That's the silentstore.com, where you can get my new ebook, The 3 Ps, the keys to having better days. That's peace, positivity, and perspective. And we deep dive into how this mindset of peace, positivity, and perspective can help you start and continue down your journey of self-development, which the ultimate goal is to inspire others to start and continue down their journey as well. Because if each one teach one, we all can reach one. If I'm working on myself and you're working on yourself, we're building a community of like-minded individuals that are working on themselves that will ultimately birth better versions of ourselves that can serve the world that much better. So as always, is your brother Silent Sound. Always look to help and inspire others. And the last thing I want to leave you with today is that failure is just the beginning of your success. Once you realize what is not working, you can start doubling down on what is working so that you can start bringing those results into reality. Tap in. Is your brother Silent Sound. Peace.